Good morning. It's been a while since I've done a vlog, whatever. I haven't really had time to really get involved on my YouTube channel lately. So I'm just I got a few minutes here, so I'm just going to kind of rant a little bit. I've been back to my old audiobooks, trying to gear up for getting back to writing my novel. And I started from scratch. I started with my favorite book series, the Odyssey series by Arthur C. Clarke. I listened to 2001, 2010, 2061, and now I'm working on 3001, all in the span of about 4 weeks. It's taking me about a week to get through each one. So just like how I started reading back in 1996, I am going to talk about the book that I read first, which was 2061, Odyssey 3. Odyssey 3, written by Arthur C. Clarke in 1987, was the third installment of the Odyssey series, but technically it's a sequel to the book 2010, Odyssey 2, which is a sequel to the movie 2001, A Space Odyssey, not the book 2001, A Space Odyssey. The book and the movie differ in a lot of different ways. The plot's different. There's a lot of finite details that are different. So, Odyssey 3 is basically a sequel to the sequel of a movie. It takes place where the main character, Dr. Haywood Floyd, is basically your main character, but he's barely in the book. It's a mishmash of characters. Arthur C. Clarke has never been good about writing about people. He writes hard science fiction. Hard science fiction is a genre that is fiction, science fiction, but uses a lot of real scientific theories and outlandish concepts that only, people who follow science would understand. There's very, very little Star Trek, Star Wars technology, where in those movies and shows, the technology is whatever it needs to be to further the plot. Warp drive, hyperspace, lightsabers, the Force, whatever it is in science fiction, television, movie, or even book that's not hard science fiction is usually there to just move the plot along and doesn't need to be further explained. It's made up. Hard science fiction doesn't work that way. Hard science fiction uses real scientific concepts to talk about the technology at play. So with that being said, it's more like a practical science fiction piece than it is science fiction. Okay, so the story starts out 2061 where they're visiting Halley's Comet, and the monolith has just imploded Jupiter and turned it into a sun in order to thaw out Europa so the life on Europa can thrive and intelligence can be born. People have always found the two films, 2001 and 2010, confusing because they never really understood what the monolith is and what the intelligence behind the monolith is doing. The monolith is a tool. It's a tool. It's like a Swiss Army knife of science. It basically can do whatever it needs to do in order to fulfill its mission. Its mission is to find the potential of intelligence, mind, and spirit, and kind of sort of give it a little evolutionary kick in the ass. It also has the ability to do things on a scale that would normally not exist in science. The ability to turn a gas giant into a star is a daunting feat. It would take massive amounts of energy, massive amounts of gravity in order to make that happen. So in the movie 2010, that's what the 2-mile long monolith does around Jupiter. They call it Big Brother, or Zagaga if you're Russian. Sorry, I need a little water in the morning. And I'm driving, so bear with me here. So, yeah. So it turns Jupiter into a star. great. And that's where it leaves, where the movie ends. And the book picks up where 50 years in the future, 51 years in the future, or 60 years in the future, whatever, I don't know. 50 years in the future. And they don't even really explain who or what, but a terrorist organization kidnaps a ship that's surveying the planet. Nothing can land there. The monolith tells you at the end of the movie or book that you're not supposed to go to Europa. All these planets are yours except for Europa. Attempt no landings there. So they interpret landings as, what does that mean exactly? Does that mean robot landings, human landings, what? So they send probes out there. The probes are destroyed, presumably by the monolith. So the monolith now is watching over Europa, and a terrorist organization kidnaps a ship and crashes it onto the planet. The monolith allows the ship to enter the atmosphere and land without incident. The doctors and scientists on the ship, while they're there waiting rescue or wanting to explore the planet, the only thing they want to explore really is Mount Zeus. Mount Zeus is a 1,000-kilometer mountain that just showed up one day on the surface of Europa. They couldn't explain why or what. They later find out that the mountain is a shard of solid diamond that crash landed onto the planet from Jupiter. The hypothesis is that most gas giants the size of Jupiter at their core have solid diamond. It's just a theory. So in the book they use that as truth, and that when Jupiter implodes, part of that diamond explodes out into space when the planet goes nova. And it crash lands onto Europa. In doing so, it turns over the monolith and damages it, or corrupts its programming, so it's not operating at full functionality. That's about it as far as the book. The only real thing that happens in the book is that Floyd is en route to help rescue his grandson, who is stranded on the planet, with another crew, and in mid-flight, a mini version of the monolith shows up and copies his consciousness and adds it to Dave Bowman's and Hal's. So now you have three consciousnesses that are now transformed into these star childs. They reside inside the monolith, or kind of, sort of, in the same plane of existence as the forces that control the monolith. They're made of pure energy, and they basically are kind of floating in and out of our reality. Time doesn't really have a concept there. They just seem to exist and have some kind of control over the monolith. So that's where we fast forward to 3001: A Space Odyssey, and it's now the final Odyssey, allegedly. Well, Arthur C. Clarke died, so there will be no more Odyssey books coming from him unless somebody buys the property and decides to expand the story, which would be awesome. In 3001: A Space Final Odyssey, it's 3001, and they find the dead astronaut Frank Poole floating somewhere outside the orbit of Saturn, and they somehow revive him. And the book basically starts with him awaking in a hospital bed, trying to figure out where he is, and they break it to him slowly that he is 1,000 years into the future. So the monolith has always been kind of a source of enigma in science fiction, because nobody really knows what it is. There's all these kind of sort of concepts that Kubrick made up the monolith in order to show that life is like a movie. You know, you tilt the monolith on its side, it has the perfect ratio of a widescreen, like a camera lens or a screen. Yeah, it's a pretty cool concept and whatnot, but from the confines of Arthur C. Clarke, who, you know, wrote the 4 books, you know, the monolith is a tool of intelligence. It's like an AI, but not a true AI. It has the ability to manipulate manipulate matter at the microscopic level. It's basically a device that has intelligence, that has the ability to use nanotechnology to do whatever it needs to do to fulfill its mission of building the mind of any creature or entity and trying to give it its full potential. So I've kind of formed my whole spiritual reality around that concept that, you know, through sheer thought, through sheer will, you can accomplish your goals, whatever they might be. When I say that, I'm thinking at it from a scientific point of view and a spiritual point of view, that at the very, very small, at the quantum level, you are trying to force those small things to make changes in your life in big ways. Now, that is very, very difficult to do. Some people have the ability to do it, some people don't. I like to think that I have, at the core, the basic concept of it, but just lack the actual faith and belief that it can actually happen. You know, faith, all faith is the strong belief that whatever you believe in is true, without having to have proof of it, of its existence, or any evidence to suggest that it even does exist. That is the definition of faith. So when people that are of religious faith, they say that their God, their Jesus, whatever, their Mecca of belief is real, it's because at their core center of their spirit, of their soul, they believe it to be true. It's that simple. Alright, I've ranted enough today. I'm going to upload this, and if anybody wants to watch it, great. If anybody wants to comment, great. If anybody has any ideas of their own and want to share them with me for future videos, go right ahead. I want to do more of these, spare the moment, without thinking too much in advance. You'll definitely notice a difference in tone and communicative skills, that when I talk on camera without scripting it, it's much different than me sitting down and writing a blog. When I write a blog, I can stop and think of what I want to talk about, and I can say it in a clear, concise manner. When I just rant on camera without scripting it or thinking about it, it just comes off like a spastic child, and that's by design. I plan not to edit these or change them up too much to show that, you know, hey, my mind isn't jumbled. To be honest, my mind is jumbled, and I'm all over the place, and I'm driving at the same time in the middle of a construction zone. So bear with me, people. Happy Friday. Get to the gym, do your thing, go to church, do your thing, go on Facebook, do your thing, whatever your thing might be. Ciao.